when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adanna Combie, and we thank you so much for staying with us as we continue to bring you things that are happening in and around Tobago. This morning we continue conversations, and in studio we have Mr. Dave Elliot, and he is Pro-Royal Commonwealth Ex-Services League Tobago branch. That's who he's representing, and we're talking about Memorial Day 2023. And you might notice that there's a change in me as we came back to set. Of course, yes, I am wearing my puppy, right? And this, of course, is to represent and to commemorate Memorial Day, which is what we're going to talk about this morning. Good morning, Mr. Elliot, and welcome, welcome.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, of course, it's a pleasure to have you in set. You're so composed, and we want to get straight into the conversation. We want to talk about Memorial Day, what is happening, what is your involvement, what we can look forward to, and what is the purpose behind Memorial Day. For those of you who don't know, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about that, why we celebrate Memorial Day, what it is all about.
Well, first to start, you said I'm the Pro-Royal. What it is, I'm the PRO of the Tobago branch of the Royal Ex-Services League, right? So what it is the league, or what we call the Veterans League. We are the association or the group that will represent all the ex-servicemen, all those soldiers who would have, all those persons who would have served in World Wars I and II, right? And around this time of the year, and I'm sure you remember, Adanna, that as a child you remember going to school and everybody wearing a puppy in school and all that type of thing. So it's important that we remember those who would have served, because it's because of that service that we would have been afforded the freedoms that we have today. Some people take advantage of walking in the streets freely. In Tobago, you could drink a beer on the street normally, and a police go past, and you might even go frame one, and you might pull inside and take off your head and drink a beer.
Right.
You know what I mean? In America, you can't do that. You have to have your drink in a brown bag.
That's right.
And you can't be drinking it in public by this. As simple as that. Those are things that those are freedoms that we are afforded right here in Tobago. And the Ex-Services League is the group that would tend to represent all those persons who would have served. And right here in Tobago, there have been, and there still is, persons who would have participated in World War II, to be example. And we happen to have one person who would have served in the Korean War, right? This person is none other than Dr. Lord Nelson, Robert Nelson.
Right, yes. Right. Wow, exciting things. Humbling, and also things that we should be grateful for, because you're talking about something as simple as being able to consume a beer. Right? I'm not a beer drinker, but it's something, the things we take for granted.
Yeah. You see it every day, people passing a man, 4 fellas sit down on a bridge, people that sit down around a table by the road under a tree, and it's nobody's business. But when you go in the States, you cannot do that, right? Yeah. You will be arrested.
That's right. Right. I know that for a fact. You can't sometimes you can't even carry it in your vehicle.
You can't have an open container in your vehicle.
That's right.
Yeah, you could, you shouldn't be driving, you shouldn't be drinking while driving. And you're not supposed to be driving drunk, but at the same time, I don't think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are lots of freedoms that we actually do, and this is what we celebrate in November. The parade is, it's a very short parade, and a wreath laying ceremony at James Park. It's going to be held on Sunday. It's always held on the closest Sunday to the 11th, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So if this Sunday is not on the 11th, it's the closest Sunday to the 11th. And so happen this closest Sunday, either the Sunday before or the Sunday after, and this Sunday is the 12th.
Right.
So it's been held on the 11th. On Friday, we have a full dress rehearsal up in Scarborough, where there is the streets are going to be blocked off. The parade starts at in front of the fire station along Bacalet Street, and it comes to James Park. And you have different organizations who will be laying wreaths on behalf of those organizations who would have participated in the war. We have, of course, the Defense Force, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Air Guard. There is the Believe it or not, the Red Cross would have participated in the war. That's why we have the Red Cross children there. We have the cadets, the Boy Scouts, the Boys Brigade. So those, I think, even pathfinders to a certain degree. So you even have, so all those persons who would have participated in the parade during that time, those are the ones that often tend to be on parade on Memorial Day
Yeah, I mean, so the parade starts
at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock
Yes.
and it's happening on Sunday, but you spoke about a dress rehearsal on Friday. Does that affect, because I know you said you're going to be blocking off the roads, does that affect anything on Friday for the rehearsal of the parade?
Well, all traffic uptown Scarborough will be affected. There will be no parking in what we call Tamron Square. That because that's where all the munitions are actually taking place. At 11 o'clock on Sunday, there will be what you call, well, the sound of a cannon. But back in the day, they used to take off a cannon from a ship and actually use it up here. But what they do now, they have the explosions specialists from the Defense Force. They actually have those explosions taking place in the James Park, so no parking is allowed. So not James Park, in Tamron Square, what we call as Tamron Square. That happens up there, so no parking is there. And all of Scarborough is locked off for that period until the period is over.
That is on Sunday, but I mean, you set up there's just rehearsal on Friday.
Yes,
Does
it happens on Friday as well.
As well, okay. So the
Yes.
same thing happens on
Yes.
Friday. So public be aware this is happening on Friday, the rehearsals, and of course, is a opportunity or a moment to celebrate, as you said, the fallen soldiers who fought for freedoms that we now enjoy. You know, sometimes we really take things for granted and we don't look back at our history to see how it is we are able, how did we get to this place, what happened before our time,
Yes.
and who fought
Yes.
to establish the things that we now enjoy. So I really appreciate this, and I think I want to be a part of this. I want to be there. For those of you who have never experienced or witnessed the parade, now is the time for you to, you know, do your research and come on board and be a part and support this very commendable occasion, because I mean, we wouldn't be here if the people before us didn't go
Yes, and
in bravery.
Some people don't realize, and I think people just simply need to go into James Park. There's a cenotaph there, and look and see if you see a name you might know, right? We might have some family that's there. I have a great uncle that's there. There's also presently we have one veteran who would have been who would have participated in the war. He's still alive. His name is Mr. Iman Nigol. He's from Lekoto. Previously, we would have, and in recent times, the idea was that they would have, all of them would have died out. But we found one person, and then we keep on finding other people. The recent somebody would have died, Miss Lucille Dennis Cook. She would have had I know this lady personally. I know she was a soldier. She used to come to our church, and she just like, no, but normal. And one time we visited her, you check the older folks, and he said, Miss Cook, what is this picture you have here? Oh, that's when I was in the war. It was what?
Casually, right?
You was in the war? What war? You was in a war? Yes, look. And she has an entire dossier of photos. She has the book that she issued out, the British Army would have issued her when she was enlisted. And she's calm, and like it's no big deal, right?
Wow.
And there are people like that littered around Tobago, and some people don't know. Mr. Ligol, I think somebody, when they saw the interview that we had with her, and somebody called me and said, hey, there's somebody in Lekoto as well, and this man, he was a soldier, and he didn't know that there was a memorial day in Tobago.
Wow.
Because he would normally go to the States, and the most recent we would have found out that Lord Nelson was a Korean War vet, right? He said it right here in the station. And when I called and he said, yeah, he was a soldier. When we spoke to him, he said, yeah, he fought in the Korean War. He moved to the States, and when he got there, I think, when people try to stay in the States, they join the army.
That's right, yeah.
So he joined the army, and as soon as that happened, the war happened, and they shipped him out.
Wow.
And that's what it is. So we tend to celebrate them on that day. Initially, we had asked about the meaning of the poppy. Now, if you look on the paper that you have there, you would see a poem called on the other side called "In Flanders Fields," right? It says, "In Flanders fields, in Flanders fields, the poppies blow. between the crosses, row on row, and the poem goes down. What had happened there was a Lieutenant Commander, Colin Lincoln McCrae. He was a doctor, and while tending to injured soldiers and that sort of thing, day by day, I think in the area where they would actually be doing fighting, and people died and blood and all this sort of something. One following morning, the area was just littered, covered with poppies. I think, in certain places where sometimes after rainfall, you would see a certain flower just bloom and just break out. Hey, where these flowers come from? That's what there was in the ground all the time. And the poppies, they were littered over the entire battlefield. And he would have written this solemn poem, and this was used as, I think, the flagship poem for the entire Veterans and Remembrance Day. I think, but what happened is, as the poppies would have grew across the entire area, they decided, after some years, it was decided to use these poppies as a symbol in memory of those who would have fought and died. Initially, it was those who would have fought and died, and then he said, those who would have served. And then you remember there was even a situation where animals and all would have served. Horses and dogs also served. Horses were used to carry equipment. Dogs did things like searches and that type of thing. So those were included after a period of time.
I think this is so interesting, and I'm sitting here and I'm absorbing. In all my years in primary school, every single year we used to wear poppies. And I never knew, no one ever taught us. And I think these are things we need to talk about. We need to educate. I'm raising conversation this morning about this celebration and this recognition of the people who put their lives at stake to ensure that we remain, safe, and that we can enjoy the benefits, So it really is raising, and I really want there to be some segments in our schools where this is introduced, inducted into our syllabus somehow, our curriculum somehow, because we need to know, our children need to know about these things that had happened. Why have I been wearing a puppy for my entire primary school life and not know the story behind it? And it's something we really need to introduce. And we need to, I really want people, I'm taking this opportunity, and I really want people to do some research, spend some time getting to understand, getting to know, starting to show gratitude for the position that we now hold, for the place that we now stand in, because of the selflessness of people who went before us. And you were talking about some of the veterans who are still alive. I'm thinking that there should be a way that we should try to find them. Because I know you discovered some of them just by chance. There should be something put in place where we actually try to find who they are, so we could give them their roses while they are still here.
Well, it's more than roses, It's actually money.
Well,
Because what happened is that these persons were even in Miss Cook's her little book that she actually had. You are called a child of the crown, because during that time, Trinidad and Tobago under British rule, and these people today, I think the leagues in England and Canada, they send money for these people and their children to help take care of them. You get a donation every year or something like that, right? Incidentally, there's one other person that we recently would have discovered. He's from Lambo, but he lives in Trinidad. And they say he don't want a shine up thing, he don't want the TV thing, and he don't want that with me and
the humility of these guys.
Exactly. And everybody's the humility. When you talk to Lord Nelson about the war, he tell you he doesn't want to really talk about it, right? When you speak to Mr. Ligol, well, he would give you all the stories, that he would have gone through, and they would have done different things. We have Mr. Josie Eastman. He would have died. He was in Egypt from Castara, right? He used to be driving vehicles, I think, in Egypt. We have Mr. Ligol in Lekoto. He was a tradesman. He worked with the engineering section, building bridges and that type of thing. Miss Cook was a clerk, right? So persons would have served in different capacities. I think Lord Nelson himself, he was on the front line, but this was in Korea, in South Korea. Right. So persons here would have actually participated in one. I mean, we want to encourage persons just simply to go up to James Park and just take a look at that plaque, and it is filled with names, and we have more to put on there, a few more. And you'll be able to see persons who would have served, who you might see a family member's name, who knows. So the parade is on Sunday the parade marches off at 10 o'clock from the back of the street in front of the fire station. Come to James Park. So persons are encouraged to come to James Park around the entire periphery and observe the parade. It's a short parade. It's a standing parade. It's short but intense. And all you see the dignitaries and persons from different organizations laying the wreaths. And it's a very memorial day. And you'll have the puppies will be on sale on those days. We also, for those who are interested, you can reach out to me. We also have our Facebook page where persons are encouraged to be members of our league as well. There are application forms on the page. You get your puppies. They are $5. Adanna will pay for hers in a while. And we have these beautiful handbands like I'm wearing here. These are $10. I think when I leave here, I'll be going to Bishop's High School. We might do someday. We went to Light and Life, Scarborough Sec, some of the other schools that actually we were given the puppies so that, people could, they could remember and be informed about the freedoms that we have today and why they are, how they originated.
Thank you so much, Dave, Elliot. Our listening and viewing public, I'm encouraging you to invest your time to do the research, to get the knowledge, and also to stand with the team as they celebrate the work of those that went before us, that allowed us to enjoy the privileges we now enjoy in this time, in this dispensation. So that is happening this Sunday from 10 a.m. From the fire station, heading to James Park. So you could go ahead there and see what is happening. As he said, an intense parade, an intense standing parade. So let's go and see what it's all about in support of this motion. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for staying with us throughout this morning show on Tobago updates. Of course, we're going to head on over right now to Tobago Notes and then to GMT. So we're asking you to stay with us as we continue programming. And of course, as we go, we encourage you to continue to share the live, share the live, share the live.